Hi everyone, this is me, and I have decided to do the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, version 2, that started back in July, but I have decided to start it in mid-October. So today we're going to play a bit of catch-up and go through all the books I've read from July to the end of September and see if any of them work for the prompts of the challenge. And I would also like to clarify that I will not be actively reading for this challenge yet, but I will start to do so in the new year because my primary focus now is reading books for the English Bookshop yearly challenge, and that ends at the end of 2025. And I will do monthly updates, so you'll see probably the monthly wrap up on my channel that'll have reviews of all the books I read. And the update to the 52 book, 52 to the annual reading challenge I'm doing, and then I'll make a separate video where we go through the books I read and see where I can put them in the prompts or update the ones I had before in other prompts, and so forth. And I'd also like to clarify that I'm doing this purely for fun, and if at any point I feel that it is stressing me out or I'm no longer having fun reading because I'm putting this pressure on myself to get prompts, and also if I find myself just reading for the sake of reading without absorbing what I'm reading or taking the time to read the books in the way that I want to read them, in the sense that I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to read just for the sake of reading. If I need more time with the book, I want to take that time and be able to fully appreciate what I'm reading. So if I feel that any of those, if I feel like that's happening, and I'm just reading just to tick off the box and not of the other gazillion more important reasons for reading, then I will stop, or at least I will take a break and come back to it at a later date if I feel that I have fixed the situation. So yeah, but anyway, so full disclosure, I had filmed a almost 2-hour video of me figuring out where to put everything from the books I've read between July and now when I decided to start the challenge. So that was a few days ago, I think October 25th. But I realized I didn't click the audio button, so there was no audio, and I don't think anyone wants to watch 2 hours of me clicking buttons on a screen without talking or explaining what I'm doing. So we're gonna do this again, and I'm not gonna go through the whole process, but I will walk you through. But you'll already have seen, we won't do it together is the point, but I will show you what I did so far, and then the future videos we'll do it together because I talk to myself anyway when I do it, so might as well talk to other people. So yeah, so this is the overall bingo board. I'm not going to over-explain this too much, well, said I before proceeding to over-explain it, because if you're more interested with the minutia of this challenge, you can go watch the creator's original video. But basically, there is a bingo board that's 5x5, but the thing is that each square is one challenge, so it's not one prompt. So for example, the by the hundreds is 7 books to get one square ticked off. I think it's 7 books, might be 6, we'll check. But that is the idea. And then the ones that are in white are ones that have fixed rules, and the ones that are in purple are the ones that are more customizable to the person who's doing the challenge. Some more so than others, if you ask me, but yeah, anyway. So we'll go through. So there is a very handy dandy Excel sheet that the creator made, and honestly, if this didn't exist, I probably wouldn't be doing this challenge because it would be too much admin otherwise. It's still quite a bit of admin, but it is fun to click things and see colors change and stuff. So yeah, so I will go to the tracker now. And let's see how to do this. So, okay, just quickly, you'll see that you have the title, the author, the month read, page count, and the 2 prompts you can use. So another important thing is that you can use 2 prompts for one book, and the genre, and then a bunch of other stuff, which is mostly to see the stats. I will say I'm not particularly interested in some of them, and I got better things to do with the Excel sheet, so I don't know if I'll be filling out. I will see how this progresses, but I don't know until when I'll be filling everything out. I will for sure be doing the title, the author, the month read, the page count, and the prompts and the genre. But other than that, probably not. Oh, and the worlds. I'm probably gonna rearrange this at some point so that the ones I'm interested in are like next to each other over here, not at the end. But we'll see. But then the stats that it gives you that I think is interesting to me is the total books, the total pages. I do like these two maps of where the books are set. I don't really need a publisher distribution, especially because I'd rather see imprints than the big publishing houses. Um, that would give me more information, but I'm not gonna bother adding 20 billion imprints, so we're just gonna go with it. I know for a fact I'm not going to reread any books, so that's not interesting to me either. This isn't of particular interest because I'm not someone who reads 30 billion series at the same time. If the whole series is concluded, I'll probably read the whole thing before starting another one, or I won't have more than two or three going, especially if they're different sort of genres. Um, if the series isn't completed, then okay, it's there, but there's nothing I can do about it, so this doesn't, I mean, yeah. Also means I do primarily read paperbacks, so this isn't gonna give me any like crazy information either. The genre is interesting to see, perhaps. The covers, I don't care what color the color distribution of my covers are. The audience, I know I mostly read adult books now. Maybe there'll be a YA or two, but like nothing super diverse there. And the publication year I can see is interesting, and perhaps the number of authors would also be interesting. But it's not surprising that a lot of these authors that have multiples are because they wrote a series. For example, the Rivers of London series that has 8 Ben Aranovich books now there is because that is like a 10-book series, not including the novellas, which I'm also reading. Um, so yeah, I that's why I'm not gonna bother filling this stuff out because, for example, most common acquisition year, I can tell you from now, most of the books I'm gonna read for this. I mean, I really don't care. Like I don't need to know that information. There's also a point system that I'm gonna kind of follow, but like yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I've been talking for 8 minutes and we have done no tracking yet. So okay, so I filled in all the books that I'm sure I read from July onwards. So we're going to ignore the October books that I put there because this is just I didn't. I mean, yeah, why I haven't. It's technically not the end of October yet. So this is what we're working with, starting from Muno Versojo, ending down here to Perfume. Um, and I think I'm going to maybe talk about this the same way I was setting it up, but it'll probably be faster because I'm not making decisions now. Maybe explain why I put certain things where and go from there. So I knew from the beginning that I would need to put 4 books in the series Stairway. Oh no, in the series Stairway, ideally from the Rivers of London series, so that's why, because that's the only series I'm already reading a series that has 4 or more books, and there's no need to start a new one. So I knew I was going to put 4 of them here. I didn't know which ones, depending on what other prompts would be used, but it ended up being Moon Over Soho, Whispers Underground, Broken Hopes, and Foxglove Summer, and I think those are consecutive as well. So that worked. Yeah, I'm giving you spoilers, but like, yeah, we're going with it. And then I decided to use Moon Over Soho in the rainbow for now. So the way I was doing is I was trying to get to maximize efficiency and get 2 books per 2 prompts per book. And also, if a book was could work for 6 prompts, I tried to pick the prompt that I thought was less likely to work for another book that I'm going to read in the future. Or, well, rather, I picked a prompt that I thought would be less likely for me to read a book for naturally without reaching for it per se or without trying to. But these are very subject to change. I already changed like the first few books a couple times when I got to the bottom 5, for example. So I think there's going to be that would be interesting to do for me as well. is that at the end of the month, when we add these new books, there might be some shifting going on up there. But I just thought I'd show you a starting point because I like watching the thought processes of people. I don't know if anyone else does, but here we are. So yes, and Moon Over Soho then went in the even bigger rainbow, and while we're at it, we'll just talk about the whole Ben Aranovich books. Then in August, I read a bunch of them because at this point I was reading them from the library. So we put these four in the series Stairway, and then two of them only really worked for the by the hundreds, and then we put Foxglove Summer in the even bigger rainbow because it's very green. Um, and then the last 10 years is books published in the last 10 years. So this one is a page count, and then this one, the last 10 years, is a publication date. So that worked there. And it also, all this series all of them have spooky creatures. So I thought one of them at least could work. So I'm pretty sure I put one of them in the like Person of Magic or something, and then one of them in the Ghosts. But I might change that. That's a bit of a it works, but I would prefer to find a more concrete example if possible. Um, so yeah, then I read on audio Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams, and that worked in the publication date and in the even bigger rainbow because there's a pink cover. Splintered Magic surprisingly worked for a lot, so I chose to put it in animals because there's a house pet that's quite prominent. And in spooky creatures because there are a lot of spooky. There's witches. There's fae. I'm not sure what I used it for. Oh, I used it for shifter. That's a bit of a stretch. Okay, I think I'm giving you too much information this way. So I think maybe we're gonna switch to doing it by challenge. And then when I do it again for October and I'll film the whole thought process, I think it'll be easier to follow than me just telling you the thought process now. So yeah, so by the hundreds is pretty easy, I think, to find. So at the moment, these are the books that I chose for it. If something else were to work better, if these were to work in another prompt better than here in the future when there's something to replace them, then that's fine. Um, so also another thing I'm doing is I'm putting potential reads. I'm using this as books I already read that could also work for this prompt in case I want to do a switcheroo. At least for now, this is how I'm using this potential reads situation because I have read the books that are in the potential reads. But yeah, we have The Furthest Station, which is a novella, so it worked for the 100 pages. Perfume was in the 200 range, and then these two were in the 300 and 400 range, and these two didn't really fit for another prompt. I guess Whispers Underground would work for the blue covers. Would we consider that teal? I don't know. I'm gonna have some trouble with the teal, I think. So yeah, the other one that I worked on a little bit was the subgenres of choice. So here, I chose fantasy, and then these are the ones I'm currently thinking about as the subgenres. I might change one or two, but I have urban fantasy, which, come to think of it, I can for sure use a Ben Aranovich book here. I know there's one coming in October, so that's probably what I'll use for the urban fantasy. High fantasy won't be a problem. I read a lot of that. Fairy tale might be. I put it there because I do really want to read fairy tales. If not in fiction, I do want to read like folklore of Sweden because I recently moved here and I think the Sweden and by extension the Nordics I think will have some cool folklore stuff I would like to read. So I think this I put there as an incentive to eventually read fairy tales because I've been saying I'm gonna do it for years and I have not. Historical also I think won't be a problem for me to find. Um, and then at the moment I have the Secret Society of Irregular Witches for cozy. And then the last one is adventure. So, yeah, so the historical, all of the Emily Wilde ones could work if I can do a switcheroo, but at the moment I'm using those books for other prompts. But it's possible I might switch something here, although I'm pretty sure I'm gonna naturally read a historical fantasy at some point, even just from the library. I might even own one, I'm not sure. I don't Yeah. Oh, I do own one. What am I saying? I do own one. Yeah. Okay. Um. So yeah, there's what's going there. This I think won't be hard to fill. Like these are stuff that are gonna fill up easily without me trying. And that's kind of what I'm hoping will happen. I'm hoping to get at least half of the books, half of the prompts done just by reading things without trying. So yeah. Then we have the series staircase, which I don't think is going to be super hard either. I already have the two big ones. So I read the Emily Wilde trilogy this summer, after July, and I know this for sure because I started tracking what I was reading then, and I also have my library checkout logs. So, and then we have the Rivers of London books here for the four or more. The duology, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. We'll see. I have three duologies in mind that I want to buy and read, and I'm pretty sure I own part of one duology. So this will be easy. And the solo, I think, could be really any book. I kind of got it in my head that maybe I want to do a standalone fantasy for the solo, but that I'm just might be making it harder for myself just because all of these other series are gonna be fantasy series. So yeah, we'll see. Award season, I didn't find anything yet. This is a later problem, and the last 10 years was easy to find a few. So if these books I found didn't really work for other prompts, I put them here. While these two technically could work for other prompts, it's just these are more recent years, and I know that most of the books I own or can easily find at the library just because I live in a non-English speaking country, so the English selection is not as up to date as the Swedish one would be, which I mean, fair enough. So that's why I'm using these here, but I could switch it around for something else. So I have Lie Sleeping for 2018, and then I have the Encyclopedia of Fairies for 23, and the Map of the Otherlands for 24, and Beg, Borrow, or Steal for 2025. This we didn't do anything. No. Heritage Month. No. Translation challenge. I realized very late in the game, after I put this somewhere else, that this is in fact translated from German. I didn't realize it. I knew this. I remembered it was translated from German. So for now, we're gonna put this here. I don't think I'm gonna have any problem with the translations. I'm pretty sure I own another 4 books that have been translated. Although one of them is from German, so I can't use both of those there. One of them is Japanese. Yeah, wasn't gonna do a planning part, but here I am. Anyway, one of them's Japanese. I have one that's translated from Korean, so that's 3. What else? I feel like I have more, but I'm forgetting them now. Jeez. Anyway, it shouldn't. I technically have one translated from Greek, but I don't think I'm gonna read that in time for this challenge. I don't know. I feel like I should have another one. I think I do. I'm not remembering this now, but I didn't read it anyway, so we're just gonna go move on. Then around the world, I put Battle of the Bookstores for North America only because I didn't have anywhere else to put it, so why not? And I have a lot I could use for Europe if need be. I think in my bookshelves I do have one for I do have some for Africa and some for Asia. Australia and South America, I think, well, actually South America I might have something. I think Australia something I'm gonna have to look for, and Antarctica as well. I have The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. That's set in Alaska. I don't know if they venture into the Antarctic at some point. Maybe they do. I haven't read that book yet. But I think this will be relatively easy. The Even Bigger Rainbow is also sort of a catch-all for if the book doesn't work for anywhere else. So I have green, which is Fox Loves Summer. I have purple with Lie Sleeping, and Moon Over Soho for blue. Beg, Borrow, or Steal for pink. And then 7 plus color is Battle of the Bookstores. I think this might be pushing it. So if we find something better, I might replace it. But we have green. I don't know if shades count, because we have pink and red and black and white, so that's 4, and then blue and green, so 6, and then I counted this skirt as like a yellow, orange, beige as a separate color, so that got me to 7. But then if someone would count this blue a different color than this blue, then you for sure. Oh, I guess there's brown up here, so okay, that works. So that works. So yeah, I'm pretty sure these will be relatively easy to fill out as well eventually, so I'm not worried about that. The make a quote, I did tentatively decide, just for the sake of the challenge, to do Not All Those Who Wander Are Lost by J.R.R. Tolkien, even though I've never read anything by J.R.R. Tolkien. It's just that this quote also reminds me of one of my favorite poems in Greek that kind of has this theme in mind, and it's inspired by the Iliad, no, by the Odyssey. Jeez. So I just went with that, and it's not too many words. I don't know if I have any books with all of these words, but I mean, who and all and not and those, I feel like those should be easy to find. So this thing is that you're supposed to use one book title per one book for one word. So for example, one book would have to have a title with not in it, then another book would have to have a title with all in it, and so forth. Okay, then we have spooky creatures, which I was surprised to see that I had so many books. So I put Splintered Magic as Shifter. And I did this because this cat that this woman is holding is a cat. It assumes the form of a cat, but its true form is that of a splintered cat, if I remember correctly, where this cat changes into, this is just a normal house pet cat, but it assumes its normal form. It's like a big sort of wildcat adjacent species that has magical properties and can speak. So I use that there. I'm not sure if it counts, but tentatively it's there for now. Then Magic User, any of the books by Ben Arana from the Rivers of London series would work, because the main characters are magic practitioners, as they like to call themselves. So if I put this one because it was the only one I couldn't find another prompt for, but if something else comes up, then I'm happy to change it. And for now, I put Emily Wile's Compendium of Lost Tales for Fae Folk. Although Splintered Magic could also work for this, and then this could be moved somewhere else, and so forth. So we'll see what's going on with this shifter situation later on. Then I'm pretty sure the furthest station had ghosts involved. I don't know how. I don't remember. One of these books had ghosts. I just don't remember which one. I would have to look at the synopsis to remember from the 9 of them or 8 of them that I read which one the ghost was predominant in. I'm pretty sure this one had ghosts in it. I'm just not sure if it's predominant enough for it to count for this challenge. So I might switch this out later if I read something else about ghosts, which I actually, now I think about it, the audiobook I'm listening to now has ghosts, so maybe I'll put that here. Merfolk and Zombie are still empty, and then other creature, using the war beasts in the Bitter Twins. So war beasts are, they take different forms. So in this book there's a griffin, there's dragons, there's a griffin, a dragon, there's this like cat, like, you know, giant, like wildcat with wings, there's something of that sort, and these are magical beings that can talk to humans and have other properties and so forth, so that counts to me as an other creature. But any of the 2 books, well, okay, so for the sake of this video, this is the only book currently from this series. It's the second one that works within this time frame, because I read the first one before this challenge started. And the third one I finished in October, which I haven't put into this list yet because I'm only doing that at the end of the month. Then here there was nothing, here there was nothing. In animals, I put the Splintered Cat because it had a house pet in it. So yeah, this is also a bit iffy because this cat is a cat, but it's not really a cat. It's that shapeshifter I was talking about before. So I'm not sure if that counts. He is predominantly treated as a house cat. Like, he doesn't assume his normal form most of the time. So we'll see. But if I read something else that works, I might switch it out and use this for something else. We'll see. And so far, I haven't really read anything with other animals involved. The queer alphabet, I did put down the bitter twins. It has a lot of different different queer characters, but I felt that the gay romance um, in this one was the strongest. It was the most represent. It was the most strongly represented in this particular installment. I might use the third one for the lesbian representation here. But yeah. Where else? BIPOC, yeah. So I had one book that was written by an author of non-white descent. So that's where that is going for now. New releases, I haven't read any. This is still in the process of being decided. Nonfiction, no, and no. So that's pretty much okay. Random Excel popping up. It's pretty much it. So I have a few challenges ongoing. So for recap, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's more than I thought. I have 11 challenges that have a book in them. So 11 out of 25 have been begun, at least for now. So that's pretty good for not even trying to fulfill the prompts. It's just based on what I read, what I mood read, basically. So yeah, so that's it. I will put all the details of the challenge in the description, so if you want to check out the original announcement video, you can go ahead and do that. I will also put the video of the creator I saw myself, who then directed me to the announcement video, because I will also be using some of her graphics, like this one, but that's I haven't updated yet, so that's a later problem. So yeah, I'm hoping this will be a fun little challenge. It reminds me a lot of when I used one of my favorite things from visiting my grandparents in the States every summer was that the library had those challenges that if you read X amount of books, you got this reward, like a pizza coupon or something, and I loved those. And this is just kind of reminding me of my childhood. But again, as I said, if I find it too overwhelming, then I mean, it's meant to be fun. So if it turns into anything other than that, or if it's making me change my reading habits in a negative way, then I will stop. Because I do think it has the potential to change my reading habits in a positive way, because it does encourage you to read a lot of things that I might not have picked up I myself, even though I should, like, for example, the disability challenge. I'm sure I've read books about disability, but I don't go actively looking for them. The heritage one's the same. I'm pretty sure I've read something that would fit into all of these at some point, but it's good to be encouraged to read more of this stuff. So yeah, that's it. So until next time, happy reading.